Okay, everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat here at Shira David. Baruch Hashem, Haidu Hashem, Ki Tov, Ki Le'olam Chazed, that we're here. Baruch Hashem. It's so gewaldic to be in Eretz Yisrael. And we have the opportunity to get together to learn Likutey Halachos, Hilchos, Haidah, giving thanks to Hashem. I thank Hashem every day that He gives me the opportunity to live here in Eretz Yisrael. It's a wonderful thing. Mamish, it's a big present. And we're in Halacha Hey, which is based on lesson 31, Likutey Maran, Lamed Aleph. Today we're up to letter Ches, 8. So yesterday we were learning this amazing concept, and that's what's going to lead into today's lesson, where you have Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. And then the midah of Sod, the idea of Sod, secret. We said Sod is the gematria of 70, right? Right, Samach Vav Dalet, 70, and that's against the 70 nations of the world. And we said, what's the common denominator of the 70 nations of the world? Pagama Bris, immorality. In all different ways, shapes, and forms, some more, some less, but they all... Okay, but we're talking about Pagama Bris. Yeah, well, of course, that goes with it. That goes with it. They're all anti-Semitic. All right. Well, maybe if you have some of the countries that are not anti-Semitic, if some of them are friendly, not too many, but right, not too many, but some that are, and those that are friendly, they still have the Pagama Bris. Okay. Good morning, David. So that's the common denominator. So we said like this, and everybody themselves has some level of Pagama Bris, because we're just human beings and we make mistakes. All people make mistakes, okay? And the problem is, if you're studying Torah and you have a Pagama Bris, you have a division. It's not your Torah learning it's not affecting you as good as it can. So what's the answer to that? Connect yourself to the tzaddikim. If you connect yourself to the tzaddikim, because they are they're certainly more perfect in their bris, right? And because of that, they have more clarity and they have a deeper understanding, a better understanding. So therefore, we connect ourselves to the tzaddikim. We can ride on their coattails, and we can also understand our Torah learning and so on better. Now, so we had this fellow now in this week's parsha, Korach. And so what does he do? Korach, well, the Medrash, there's so many Midrashim on this, and the Arizal it's so lengthy, it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Where I'll just tell you real quick, but real short. The Arizal has about 50 pages on this.
Really?
Yeah, where it really goes back to Cain and Hevel. This problem with Moshe Rabbeinu goes back to Cain and Hevel, and he brings it really that there was a part of the neshama of Cain inside of Korach, and Moshe Rabbeinu had a part of his neshama that was Hevel. What did Cain do? Cain killed Hevel, and then the earth was screaming because of the blood that was spilled. Cain spilled Hevel's blood, right? So the Moshe Rabbeinu says now, hey Hashem, open the earth. And he goes back in there, now he's screaming. Tit for tat. Settling the score. And it's an amazing thing. One of the things that Korach's wife, he had a real wife. I say that facetiously.
Yeah.
She was really behind the whole thing. She told Korach, look, if you want to be able to go against Moshe Rabbeinu, you have to disparage his character. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that he is involved in adultery. You believe that? Moshe Rabbeinu is involved in adultery. Again, tzaddik, He's the one that's pure in the bris, but they say that. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes back, he's like, whoa. Again, and he doesn't say anything, because we learned, when you're embarrassed, stay quiet, right? Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't say anything about it. He doesn't say, no, it's not true, hey, you, what would some people do? Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't say anything. And he goes and he does what he has to do, and then he davens to Hashem. If that's the case, let the earth open up. Moshe Rabbeinu davens and swallow them in. And that's what happened. But where did this all come from? How did this whole problem happen? On the surface, on the pshat level. Not on the sod level, on the pshat level. I'm giving you the sod level, okay? On the pshat level, because again, Korach separated himself from Moshe. He's the tzaddik. So then his learning went off. He faltered in his learning because again he's not connected to the tzaddik. You understand? You know, Moshe Rabbeinu was actually cousins with Korach. They were actually cousins. Their fathers were brothers.
Really?
Yeah. It was all in the family.
Jealousy.
Yeah. Amram, yeah, they were brothers. Yeah, they were first cousins. First cousins. None of those removed and all of that. First cousins. Amazing. All right, so let's see what happened here. Ches, Reb Nosson says. Ches. This is the pegam, the blemish that Korach did. What a blemish it was. That he divided himself. He made a machloikis al Moshe v'Aaron. B'bechinas vayikach Korach. V'targumai. What does the Targum say? V'is palei Korach. Korach, what he did was he separated himself.
Wow.
He separated himself. V'is palei, he separated himself from Moshe Rabbeinu. That's what we learned yesterday. You can't do that. You need to connect yourself to the tzaddik. You see how detrimental it can be when you disconnect yourself from the tzaddikim? That's why the Anshe Knesset Gedolah instituted in our Shmon Esrei every day. We believe in the tzaddik. We say it again and again and again because that's our hope. That is our hope, believing in the tzaddikim. Shecholak lamdan mitzadik v'omar shelamdan ba'atzmai hu ma'ala. He said, my learning is better than your learning. The Moshe Rabbeinu, he knows how to learn, but come on, I'm much better than that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? He said that, right? But look what he goes on to say. V'zeh shamar ki kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. He said, really, all the Jewish people, we're all very, very holy. We're all holy. Why? Uperish Rashi. Why does Rashi say on that? Kulam shamu b'sina enoichi. We were all there. All 600,000 of us were there at our Sinai. We all heard Hashem Yisrael say, Anochi Hashem Alekecha. Ay. Shama me'achas shekulam kiblu as ha'torah v'kulam shamu b'Sinai Anochi al kein kol anpin shavin. Oh, wait a second. So since we were all on our Sinai, and we all heard from Hashem, so everyone was a prophet, right? Everyone was a prophet. They heard from Hashem. If you hear from Hashem, that means you're a prophet.
Okay.
So everyone was a prophet. Now, if everyone was a prophet, so then we're all equal. He was really the father of communism. We're all equal, except for him. And that's how communists are, right? Everyone's equal except for the leader.
He was more scholarly.
What? Yeah, more scholarly, yeah.
Or more explorer.
You don't know, but is it true, David? Why are you saying that we're all equal? We're all equal. All faces are equal. Kol anpin shavin. We're all equal. Okay, chas v'sholem, to think that way, v'zeh pagam v'chota, this was a tremendous sin. Ki af al pi shekulam kiblu limud haTorah b'Sinai. Yes, it's true. We all were at our Sinai. That's true. And we all heard Hashem Yisbarach say Anochi Hashem Le. Aval ein kulam shavim b'kiyam haTorah. But we're all not equal in keeping the Torah, right? We may have heard it. That's true.
Yeah.
But fulfilling the mitzvahs? Can you say everybody's equal on all the mitzvahs? Everyone's equal? Birka shleimus hu rak kifi hatzitkus shel kol echad kifi ma shezeichi kol echad lekiyim haTorah b'shleimus.
I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
One thing I've learned is that when people say things about others, and say about, is it possible that Korach committed adultery?
Yes. Yeah. That's
that in the
again. Why? Okay. So okay. Now that you ask, I'll tell you. Okay. So it says when Hevel was born, Hevel was born with two sisters.
Right.
Cain was born with one sister. At that time, since there was no one else in the world, right? Hashem made it that you married your sister because there was nobody else.
Yeah.
There was no choice. There was no dating. No choice. No problem with the mother-in-law. Same mother, right? There we go. Wedding costs went down because you didn't have to invite one side of the family only.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Right, whatever. That's all still yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Cain was upset that he had two wives. Wow, Hevel, you have two wives? So he was really upset at that. When he made the carbon, and he brought the faulty carbon because he brought the junk, like we learned. He brought the thorns and the weeds and all of that to Hashem. And then Hashem didn't accept his carbon. And then he kills Hevel. But that was only the final straw that broke the camel's back. He had it out to Hevel originally because he wanted his other sister. Pagama Bris. See that? It's amazing when you see what goes on, how everything clicks into place. Everything. The Arizal gives you all the back end story of everything, and you see how every nuance works, and it's amazing.
So how does that apply to Korach? Or does it?
Korach was Cain.
Oh, okay.
We told you he came back as
He
Cain.
came back as Cain.
Oh, Moshe Rabbeinu. Now Moshe Rabbeinu had Zipporah, and then the Medrash says he was married to Basia. He had two wives. Well, it's a long story, whatever. And why did he have to have two wives? Because again, he's Hevel.
He's Hevel,
So he had to have the two wives again, and that's and if you think about it, why did he? If you think like this, Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest person ever, and Moshe Rabbeinu went to Midian. He wound up over there. After the 60 years, he was whatever.
Yeah.
He was over there. And he takes Zipporah as a wife. Now, that's very strange. Very strange. Here you have this great holy man that marries the daughter of the priest. It doesn't make sense. But it makes sense when you understand what the Arizal says. Zipporah was the neshama of his sister.
Oh.
And Basia, the daughter of Parai, was the other neshama. It's amazing. If you understand, really, whatever. Okay, but anyway, let's stick to the program over here. You asked, I told. Okay.
Thank you.
Everything is dependent. Like we learned yesterday, the more pure a person is, and the more the person works on his purity. Again, what does purity mean? He's working on Shmiras Einayim. That we said that the eyes are connected directly to the neshama. Remember? To the mind, which is the neshama. Right? That's how his Torah learning will be pure. And the Torah can then become what we learned, the Sam Chayim. It can be an elixir of life, rather than coming to be a Sam Moves, a potion of death, like it was in this case with Korach. As we know, nobody knows what's going on with somebody else. Most of us are trying to figure out what's going on in our own lives, right?
Yeah.
We learned this so many times, right? Do you know what's going on with our children, with our spouses all the time, with our family members? We don't really know what's going on. So I'm going to try to figure out what's going on in someone else's family, with somebody else's circumstances, what the parameters are in that person's life. It's impossible to understand. A person knows, everyone knows their shortcomings. How I'm attached to these things. And therefore, if a person's smart, and the person's an honest person, and is a smart, honest person, he'll say, you know what? I know my shortcomings. I know my deficiencies. I know the things that I'm faltering in. And I need help. And where can I get my help from? If I connect myself to the tzaddik. If I connect myself to the tzaddikim, why? Because the tzaddikim, again, they are the ones that are pure in the tikkun abris, and because they have the tikkun abris, their Torah is pure. Shu bechinas Moshe, and that's Moshe Rabbeinu. Who's a bigger tzaddik than Moshe Rabbeinu? He speaks to Hashem peh peh, speaks to Hashem now face to face. I mean, what is this? I mean, come on, is there anyone like that? And we see the greatness of what Moshe is called, Torah's Moshe. The Torah that we have today is called Torah's Moshe. It's Hashem's Torah, but it was given to us through Moshe Rabbeinu, through Moshe Rabbeinu's understanding. You understand? It was given through Moshe Rabbeinu's. That's why it was critical that he was the one that gave the Torah, because he was pure. If anyone else would have given the Torah, they weren't as pure as Moshe Rabbeinu. They're delivering, when they delivered the Torah like Moshe Rabbeinu did, there would have been mistakes. But Moshe Rabbeinu was pure, so that way the Torah he gave over was pure. He was a pure keli. Now you understand? Maybe the way I can explain to you is like this: if you have, let's say you have a medication or something, you have a nice medication, you need some kind of something that's very important, right? And you have a test tube that's very clean, it's sterilized, it's wonderful. You put it inside, then it can have the right benefits. But what happens if somebody didn't clean that test tube, and there was something else over there in there? Now, even though you're putting in very good stuff, but the good stuff will become contaminated because of what's there. So again, the Torah was given by Moshe Rabbeinu because he's pure. Got it? You understand? He's not going to contaminate the Torah, chas v'sholom. Anyone else that has a pegam, they would. V'lismach al devorav shebevada yodeya lemi liyitein hagedula karoyulay. If you seimach on Moshe Rabbeinu and his Torah, you know who you have to give the greatness to, right? Efrat Moshe Rabbeinu ba'atzma she'osa hakol al pi hadibar, and Moshe Rabbeinu did everything through his speech, right? Moshe Rabbeinu did everything through speech. He said his words. His words were so pure. Now what happened here? Korach ayedei gavosei cholak olav, but Korach had a big problem with his gaiva, his arrogance. And we said, what's the source of arrogance? Immorality. Right? When a person's immoral, Chazal tell us, if a person's immoral, they're arrogant. How do you like that? Oh, and he was gloating with his wisdom. I am so smart. V'yispor b'chachmasai. V'lama v'don kal v'chomer shel sheker v'giloi ponim. He made his kal v'chomer that was so faulting, it was so crooked, it's unbelievable. V'omar Uma talis shel min acher v'chut shel tcheles poitra. And then he said, "V'chein bayis molis svarim im chayev b'mezuzah." He said like this: Moshe Rabbeinu taught last week's parsha. It was the last thing in parsha in parsha Shlach. Right? We have the mitzvah of tzitzis. So Moshe Rabbeinu taught the idea that you have tzitzis, and when you have a four-cornered garment, you put on the four garments 8 strings, right? 8 strings. Rashi says 8 strings and 5 knots on each one, like Shalom is doing right here now. Make 5 knots, right? On each one, 5 knots. Why 5 knots? Because we take 5, 8, and the word tzitzis. Tzitzis is 600. The 8 strings is 8, and add 5 to 8 is 613. So that's how you have all the 613 mitzvahs in the tzitzis. But he said, wait a second. If Moshe Rabbeinu said, if you have the tzitzis, if you have a beged, a garment that has 4 corners on it, maybe you can picture like this, like a poncho, right? Ponchos, they have 4 corners, right? It's a real 4-cornered garment, right? It's a problem if you could do that, right? A lot of people, if they would wear those plastic ponchos, what they do is they would tear the corner off.
Oh, so they wouldn't have.
Yeah. You cut off the corners. There's 3 corners.
3 corners.
Right? Otherwise, there's 4 corners. It's a question. You ever think of that, Shalom? Right? It's a real 4-cornered garment. Okay, but it's certainly a bechina of a garment, right? Okay, anyway. So Korach says, wait. So Korach will tell you, you know what he'll tell you to do? Make yourself a techeles poncho. Then you don't have to worry about it. Because if one string works on the tzitzis to make it okay to use, because you put a techeles, so if you make the whole thing out of techeles, why do you need strings? Such a stupid thing. It's unbelievable. And then he says like this, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Al mezuzahs beisecha, you put mezuzahs on your houses, on your gates, right? Put mezuzahs. So Korach says, well, wait a second. If I take my house and I fill up my room with books, holy books, so I can remember Hashem with all the books. So why do I need the mezuzah? But what he didn't understand was these mitzvahs that weren't Moshe's mitzvahs. These were the mitzvahs Hashem gave to Moshe, and Moshe gave us over the mitzvahs that Hashem gave him. But because he was so arrogant, his gaiva got in his head, and it literally went to his head. And then he said it wasn't Hashem's mitzvah, it was Moshe's mitzvah. You hear this? It's amazing. Because if you don't have emuna, and you separate your learning of Torah from the tzaddikim. In other words, I'm learning just as an academical study. I'm learning because I want to be I want to be very smart. Huh? Doctorate in Talmud. There we go. So that person will certainly falter, and he will certainly come to the wrong conclusions. That's why it's so important always to daven to Hashem that you always come up with the right understanding in your learning. That you should understand. Let me please Hashem, help me understand my learning. And what's the best way to do that? Connect your learning to the tzaddikim, especially if you're learning the teachings of the tzaddikim. So we're learning to connect ourselves to the tzaddikim, because otherwise, why would we be learning their teachings, right? K'may Korach shecholak al Moshe al yedei zeh v'acher. Moshe and Acher, Elisha ben Nevuya, right? The two of them. Korach, we learned about Acher first, right? Moshe, Elisha ben Nevuya went into the paradise with Ben Azai, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva told them, go straight in. Don't look where you're not supposed to. Don't get involved with what you're not supposed to. But Elisha ben Nevuya, he said, I'm a great student. I'm great also. My dear colleague Akiva, right? That's his dear colleague Akiva. Elisha says, well, I'm great also. Maybe he can't look at the things in there, but I can.
Okay.
But look what happened. He fell to what? Immorality.
It still seems so. I don't
Okay.
know what the word absurd, or that someone could be that great that they get into paradise and yet miss the big picture.
Korach was also so
I
great.
know, Korach also, yeah.
He was so great. He was so wealthy. He had 300 mules carrying the keys to his treasure chest. You believe that? You know how many keys can be on a mule? A mule can carry a lot of keys, right? He needed 300 mules to carry the keys to his storage chest. That's how rich he was.
Okay.
He was the wealthiest man in the world. And he thought he was the smartest man in the world. And he was a Navi also. He was able to see in the future that from him is going to come Shmuel Navi.
You didn't see the whole picture there, apparently.
Well, he's
You missed a piece of it.
no.
It wasn't
Why?
him.
But why did he miss it? Because he disconnected himself from the tzaddik. That's the reason why he went off. That's why he went off. And it was because of his wife. His wife gave him his wife was an instigator. She instigated him.
Well, he committed adultery, so she was going to get back at him, maybe.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's why she devised this whole thing. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu moved his tent out of the camp. Why? If my tent is in the camp, they'll tell me I'm doing it. But if I'm over there, unbelievable. It's just that the whole story, when you understand the thing of it, is
So much more to
yeah. Okay, ואחר ואלישע שקיצץ בנטיות על ידי זה וכנ"ל, again, he went where he shouldn't, because he didn't follow the advice of Rabbi Akiva. Even though he was great. And yes, and here's the other example, Korach was also great. But Rabbi Akiva was still greater than Elisha ben Nevuya. So therefore he has to connect himself to the tzaddik. And if he didn't, look what happened. And here you have Korach, the same idea. He didn't, and look what happened to him. V'alken chala Korach ala kahuna. And therefore Korach was arguing, and he made his whole argument on the kahuna. Ki hakohen hu bechinas harav ha'emes. The kohen is the Rav ha'emes, the true Rav. V'bechinas ki sifsei kohen yishmeru das v'torah. The lips of the kohen, sifsei kohen yishmeru das v'torah. Imarav doimer lamalach Hashem tzivokah. It's like we learned yesterday. If the Rav is like an angel, so listen to his Torah. Ki hakohen bechinas hachesed. We know the kohen is the bechin of chesed. Why the kohen is doing everything for the people. The kohen is affecting for forgiveness for the people. He's always doing. Bechinas Avram is chesed. The person has ahava He has love and ishtoikikus, the kisufin. He's pining and longing for more kedusha. V'zoichen aidei harav hazeh shedoim l'malach Hashem tzavokos v'korach shepogam bezem, and Korach that had a pagam in this. V'rotza l'chalek lamdim me'at tzadik. He wanted to separate his learning from Moshe Rabbeinu. You got it? He separated his learning from Moshe Rabbeinu. Al ken cholak alakun, and therefore he was cholak. He made his whole case against the whole idea of the kahuna. Al ken tziva Hashem yisbarach levorer emes, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded that we should clarify the truth ayedei amates, through the sticks. Last week's parsha, right? What happened in last week's parsha? Hashem said, I want to stop all this complaints and all this thing going on. I'll prove to you now who the real Kohen is, who the real people are. Right? So Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, collect the sticks of all of the Shvatim, and they should write their name on their stick. Write your name on your stick. And he put them in the Mishkan, right? And Aaron put his name on it, but Aaron's stick overnight blossomed almonds, had flowers and almonds, unbelievable. The other sticks, nothing happened to them. So everyone saw, wow, okay, so, it's not like a stick, a piece of wood that is not alive. A stick doesn't grow. It's not a tree. And even if it was a tree, you're not going to blossom almonds overnight. That's never going to happen, right? I think so, right?
But the Rechatev will never go happen.
It never can happen. I don't even think they could do it. I don't even think they can do it today with AI. I don't think even AI can do that.
Oh, now you challenge me.
Right? They can?
I don't know.
Oh,
Probably.
okay. They'll get a digital printer and they'll make almonds, right? Yeah, but they'll be plastic, Sasha. Right? Okay. Whoever staff that Hashem chooses will blossom. Yifrach will blossom. Kimata da, it's like the malach metat, right? Mata is like the letters metat. We learned before that during the week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the control over the world over the malach metat. However, and that's why there's so many different pulos mishtanos in the world. Remember, we learned that there's pulos mishtanos, different things. Everything seems disjointed. Everything is so different in the world. But then when it comes to Shabbos, Hashem reigns back the control himself. But let us not think for a second, chas v'sholem, that the Malach is running the world. The Malach is doing exactly what Hashem wants him to. But why does Hashem have the Malach there to do that? So that way things can seem so disjointed, so separate, so the thing, nothing makes any sense. So we have Bechira, remember? So we have Bechira. That's why he did all of that. So that's the Malach Metat. Shu bechinas lamdin shekolo mishisha sidrei mishnah sheheim bechinas osav v'mutar k'may mevayeh b'Torah, and that's again the lamdin. We learned about the lamdin based on again lesson 31. The lamdin is Eliezer. Eliezer is the lamdin. He's the one that's down here. That's the kedushas habris tato, right? The kedushas habris ilah is Avram Avinu. That's the kedushas habris ilah. And we said that the lamdin has to connect himself constantly to the kedushas habris ilah. The kedushas habris tato down here has to connect himself always to the kedushas habris ilah, the upper supernal kedusha, right? The upper supernal kedusha, when the lower one connects itself with the upper one, so then you have a shleimus. Baal kein tziva Hashem yisbarach shekol echad yachnis mata shaloi lifnei oren ha'edas. And therefore Hashem said that everyone should place their mata before the Aron Eidos. Again, mata is the malach metat, which is again the lima down here, right? The lamdin down here. Mateu Yifrach. His stick, his learning, his staff will blossom. Lahoyrei shemata Haran shu bechinas rav emes shu malach Hashem tzavokay shekoilo umiyached lamdin. Aaron HaKohen had everything together. Aaron was a lamdin. He taught Torah. But Aaron HaKohen was also pure in his kedushas abris. Right? That's why Aaron HaKohen was able to go lifnai v'lifnim. He was able to go in the Kodesh Kodashim. He went in and he went out safely. Right? He had both together. And therefore he's able to make peiros. And that's why Aaron's stick was able to make fruit. Because he had both aspects. He had the aspect of the Kedushas Abris Ilah together with the Kedushas Abris Tatah. The same way he had the Eliezer and he had Avram Avinu together. He had the both together. So if you have that together strong, so certainly he can make peiros, fruits. And his almonds are considered a fruit. Shein bechinas pardes, rak mata sheloi parach v'gadol, v'asa peiros k'moshe kosa v'yaytzei perach v'yaytzei tzitz. You see that? It's an amazing thing that happened. It's an amazing, amazing thing. How again a stick. It's not alive. The stick blossomed. The stick made fruit. Amazing. Which is like the malach metat shehu levadai hitzliach va'osa pri ki hu malach Hashem tzavor shemekashe lamden letzadik shaydei zeh shlimus v'chidushay haTorah shehem bechinas pardes. So Aaron HaKohen had this idea of the pardes. Again, like the four people that have to give over to say the Birchas Haidah. Right? He had the four. He was perfect in Pshat. He was perfect in Remez. He was perfect in Drush and Sod. And therefore, since Aaron was perfect in all of the four Chalokim of Torah. What? Baal came b'vadai loy magia kakuna. Could you shut it off, please? Rafel K. Aloi Magia Kahuna. Kihu Zocha Likisupim V'ahava Kedusha Shehu Bechinas Koyin Ish Chesed. How do you like that? Aaron HaKoyin made it to be, but because again, Aaron was intricately connected to Moshe Rabbeinu. Remember when Moshe Rabbeinu came, Aaron saw Moshe Rabbeinu coming originally. V'samach b'libay. Remember that? The samach b'liba. It said he was happy. Moshe Rabbeinu was coming back from Midian. He was coming back. He was coming to Mitzrayim, and Hashem gave him the command. He was charged to be the leader of Klal Yisrael, even though Aaron was the older brother. Remember, he was the older brother. Right? Today, maybe we're not so into that. The older one, the younger one, or whatever. But then that was a big thing. He's the older brother. And now the younger brother becomes the leader. And where was he? He was gone. He was gone for 70 years. During that time, Aaron was there working with the people. He was everything. He was the leader. Remember? But Moshe Rabbeinu comes, okay, I'm the leader. V'samach Aaron b'libay. He was happy in his heart. Only Hashem knows that. Right? The raw v'samach believe it. It says he saw him and he was happy in his heart. What do you mean he was happy in his heart? He realized it was from Hashem. Hashem chose his brother. But the other sticks stayed the same sticks. Nothing happened to them.
I have a question about that.
What?
Well, I mean, a fruit tree, a tree is like a stick that grows fruit.
Yeah.
So it's not really an impossible thing. But his was
Whoa. A tree
Yeah.
is planted in the ground,
Right.
and the tree has roots,
Right.
right? The tree has roots.
Yeah.
It's alive. The tree's alive, right? So a tree making a fruit is not such a chiddush, right? That's normal.
Right.
But to have a stick that's disconnected from the ground, that didn't get water, he didn't water the stick. He didn't give his stick light. He didn't get sunlight. You understand? But yet the stick still blossomed and made fruit. That's something wondrous. You don't get that. No, it's
do
not
get that,
wondrous.
but it seems to me that Hashem made it so it had everything it needed to blossom.
Of course, Hashem made it blossom.
Blossom,
Finished.
right, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Hashem can do anything he wants.
Right.
We're never learning why his stick did something the other ones didn't.
The problem is saying that Hashem didn't tell him to put in like a metal stick right in the ground. There's no potential in there at all, right? You're saying like it was wood. It was wood, piece of wood, whatever was.
I understand. Mordechai, look, this table's wood too.
Yes.
I challenge you to make this thing grow almonds.
Hashem.
Yeah, okay.
There's a potential.
Yeah, has a bit. Okay.
Maybe. I understand. I'm just. It just.
Aval
made me
amata shel shanasim loy parchu v'loy asu peiros lohoy reis lahem ulegale she'ein yecholim lechadish b'torah pardes shezeh nikra eitz pri oise pri. Remember? Eitz pri oise pri. Pardes. Pardes is an orchard, right? The acronym is an orchard, right?
See, it says in here,
Kayadu, yeah.
one who separates himself corresponds to a dried up tree.
Yeah, we didn't get to that yet, sir.
I thought you were right.
Ben yecholim liskois lezeh ki ima yedei koyach Aaron HaKoyen. You can only get to this if you're connected to Aaron HaKoyen. Again, Aaron HaKoyen is the Ish HaChesed. Aaron HaKoyen is the Tzaddik. He's pure in Kedushas HaBris. Shu bechinas Rav Emes v'daimel l'malach Hashem tzavokes shekolul milamdin v'tzadik. He has his limud, his lamdonis, and his tzidkis are all together. V'alkein loy levad magia kuna. And that's why he was the one that was chosen for the kahuna. Hashem chose him. He didn't choose himself. See, that's where Korach went off. He didn't understand. He didn't understand that Moshe Rabbeinu spent a week arguing with Hashem. He didn't want his position. I don't want this position. You understand? He didn't want it. Aaron didn't want to be the Kohen. Aaron didn't want it. He didn't want it. Ava Misha Mafred Atzmai Mimenu. But here you go. But someone that separates himself from the tzaddikim. That was a who?
Yeah. Whoa.
But we didn't get it. We didn't get a siren.
They'll knock it down somewhere. It could be a long way off, but it's just very loud.
No, that seemed closer
It
than.
seems closer, but
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, these things were shaking out here.
Somewhere in our village.
And we knocked it down.
there you go.
Village? Yeah, stupid.
Take out the whole village.
Yeah, but they won't do that. They won't do that yet. Who bechinas eitz yavesh? Hey, Mordechai, that's what you're reading. You disconnect yourself from the tzaddik that's alive, then you become a dry tree.
Right.
Even though, like Korach thought he found some chiddush. That's not considered a pre. It's not considered a pre. It's not considered anything. His limud was faulty. They're like rekik is like a cake, some kind of cake, right? Some kind of some kind of cookie or something, right? Some kind. It's not. It has no. It's not. It's not worth anything. Chas v'shalom. K'may shemavay b'toyva v'hi mikayt simin nun dalet sheim b'china sheva shnei Harav, they had the 7 years of famine. Chas v'shalom, shehu heipich asiyas peiros. That's the opposite of the peiros. Ki efshel latzliach b'torah v'lasayis peiros be'emes, because it's impossible for a person to be matzliach in their Torah. No, wow. V'lasayis peiros be'emes, to make peiros be'emes. Ki im shemekashrin atzmei letzadik emes, unless you connect yourself to the tzadikim. Shehu bechinas Aaron hakoyin, shehu bechinas kisif sei koyin yishmeru das, sherak hu zocher shemate sheloi, hu bechinas lamdem bechinas metad yifrach v'yotzei perich v'yotzei tzitz. And again, Korach did all of these things after he saw these things. You understand? He saw last week's parsha. He saw the stick blossom. He saw it. Everyone saw it. And he knew he saw what Moshe Rabbeinu did. And he knew that Aaron, he watched Aaron go into the Kodesh Kodashim on Yom Kippur, and he came out. But even though he saw all these things, because he disconnected himself from the tzaddik, his whole thought process went off. And in the pardes you can grow all kind of fruits. In the pardes, in the orchard, you can grow all kind of fruits. Again, if the person has the right kisufim, that means he's taking the oasis of the day, the letters of the day, and he's arranging the oasis of the letters into be good letters, good words, very good words. And through his kisufim, he puts the vowels on the letters, and they become very, very powerful. Okay, so that's our lesson for today in Likutey Halachos. All right? And it's amazing to understand really the backstory, what was going on with Korach and where he went off and how he went off. And we'll continue this in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow, okay?
It says it's impossible to grow if you disconnect from the tzaddik.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't bind yourself.
You won't grow in your own learning. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Okay, let's go quick. Let's learn the halacha while it's still quiet. Kids of Shulchan Aruch, we're learning Siman Lamed Ches, 38. Hilchas Pas Akam, Bishulei Akam, V'cholav Akam. Okay, and then today we're up to, I think, letter Yud, right? 10? Okay, here we go. Beitza. Afal pi sheru'uya legama chaya. Let's talk about an egg now. Eggs. Can you eat an egg that a guy cooked? So we said the principle. If you have something that what do you call it, is able to be eaten raw. We gave the example last time of an apple. Right? And then the guy bakes the apple for you. Cooks the apple, makes applesauce, makes whatever. That's not a problem. That's not bishul akam. Why? Because you were able to eat it before. It was good. So now here, so you would think, okay, so some people eat an egg raw. You can eat an egg raw. I have a friend of mine back in New York. He was a chazan, and he told me that they teach them in the school for chazanis that before they go there, they should swallow a raw egg.
My mother used to give us raw egg.
Huh?
My mother used to give us raw egg for breakfast.
Oh, raw egg, yeah, okay. No, it was supposed to be good for the voice.
So you get vitamins or something.
Okay, whatever. Okay, Baruch Hashem, you're here, David.
And I never knew it was bad until a friend of mine picked me up to go to school. I was about 6 years old. And he saw it and he just, what are you doing? You're eating a raw egg. He went crazy.
But he says now, look, Mikol Mokim Kivan Dezeh Have Rak Achila Ayedei Hatchak. That's only because you eat it that way, because you have no other means. Let's say you have a box of eggs and you have no stove and nothing else to eat. So okay, b'shas etchak, you can eat the egg raw. Okay, it's not advisable, salmonella and all of that stuff. It's not really advisable, but okay. Im bishla akam asura v'chein kol kayotze bazeh. So here is the exception to the rule. Okay, there's a rule and then there's an exception to the rule, right? David?
Yeah.
The rule is if the thing is able to be eaten raw and then the guy cooks it, it's not considered bishul akum. But then if you have something that's not normally eaten raw, because most people do not eat a raw egg. If the world, most people eat the thing raw the way it is in its raw state, and that's with the current way that people conduct themselves, then that would not be a problem. But most people do not eat raw eggs. Most people do not eat raw eggs. Even though you could eat a raw egg, most people don't do it, and therefore, if a guy cooks it, it will be usher, because that'll be bishul akum, and therefore, again, if the Jew turns on the fire, right? If the Jew turns on the fire, the pilot light, the fire, to cook the egg, to boil the egg, then it's no problem whatsoever. The guy can fill up the water and put the water in the pot, and the guy can peel the eggs and do everything else. It's no problem, because it was prepared because you had involvement. Therefore, it's prepared by a Jew, and therefore it's not considered bishul akum. But if it's not, it's called it's bishul akum. Look, we should all hear Besora Tova today, especially what's going on, and we should all be safe. And none of us should be a hero. If we hear Chas v'Sholom, there's a siren, go into the mamad, and keep in mind the mitzvah shmatim esnav sheisechem. You're fulfilling a mitzvah deraisa by going into the mamad. It's a mitzvah deraisa. Shmatim esnav sheisechem. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can in order to protect myself. Okay, everyone should have a wonderful day. Kol tuv.